Hi, I'm Winnie. Today I'll be talking about how to solve this problem. I'll first read it for you. A 100 milliliter bottle of salad dressing initially consists of 80% oil and 20% vinegar. 40% of the dressing is used, and then 4 milliliters of vinegar are added to the bottle. What percentage of the mixture is now vinegar? You can pause this video to think about it. Let's first start with this problem. We know that the amount of milliliters in the bottle is 100. And all this information is the amount of percent for our ingredients. So let's first ignore that. We know that 40% of the dressing is used. So the amount of percent that is left in the bottle is 100 minus 40, which is 60%. So we just want to find 60% of 100. Now, many may know that this equals 60. However, if you don't, let's first look at the percentage. It's hard to work with a percentage, so let's change 60% into a fractional form, which is 60 over 100. Of can be times, and 100 doesn't need to be changed. Now we see that there's a common factor between 100 and 100, which is 100. So we can cancel out the hundreds in both of the numbers. 100 goes into 100 once, and same thing goes for the other one. And this equals to 60 milliliters. So 60% of 100 is 60 milliliters. Now note that we are just decreasing the amount of dressing. However, the composition of the dressing is still the same. So now let's find how much oil there is and how much vinegar there is in 60 milliliters. Let's first start with oil. There's 80% oil in 60 milliliters. So we can write 80% of 60. And we can do the same steps for the above part. 80% turns into 80 over 100, and this is being multiplied by 60. We can cancel out common factors. 100 and 60 have a common factor of 10. So we can cancel those out. 10 goes into 60 6 times, and 10 goes into 100 10 times. We also see that there's a common factor from 80 and 10, which is 10. 10 goes into 80 8 times, and 10 goes into 10 once. And this gives us 48 milliliters. So out of 60, there is 48 milliliters of oil. Now let's do the same steps for vinegar. I write V. Vinegar is 20%. So we can try finding 20% of 60. So 20% of 60, we can repeat the same steps. 20 over 100 times 60. And there's a common factor of 10. So 60 turns into 6, and 10 turns into 10. 10 and 20 have a common factor of 10, so we can cancel those out too. And this gives us 12 milliliters. And of course, we don't have to use this, since we know that out of 60, 48 is oil, so that means that 60 minus 48 is the amount of vinegar there is. However, I will just say that this is more accurate. And now we know that there is 12 milliliters of vinegar and 48 milliliters of oil. However, we can't just find the percent right now because the problem says that 4 milliliters of vinegar are added. So we want to add 4 to 12, and 12 plus 4 equals 16 milliliters. So there's actually 16 milliliters of vinegar, and we want to find the percentage of vinegar. So we know that there's 60 milliliters. However, we don't know how much milliliters is in the entire bottle. So we only have 2 ingredients. So we can just add 48 and 16 to get how much milliliters of mixture is in the bottle. 48 plus 16, and this equals to 64 milliliters. Now, out of the 64 milliliters, 16 milliliters is vinegar. So we can write that as a fractional form, which is 16 over 64. And now we can simplify and then divide if we need to get our percentage, which is our answer. 16 and 64 are even, so there's a common factor of 2. 2 goes into 16 8 times, and 2 goes into 64 32 times. 8 and 32 have a common factor of 8, so we can cancel those out. 8 goes into 8 once, and 8 goes into 32 4 times. So this gives us 1 over 4th. And if you don't know, 1 over 4th is just 25%. And this is because 100% is the whole. And we want to find 1/4 of 100%. So we just divide 4 into 100. And that's how we got 25%. And this is the answer for today's problem. If you like this video, you can like, subscribe, and follow for more. Thank you for watching.